We're back with Jason Johnson and Che Komanduri covering some very big announcements out of Facebook's parent company, Meta. Jason, your views?
I'm not shocked by this at all, Ari. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't really care about democracy. He is a business person, he is a capitalist, and he's going to get along with whoever he needs to get along with. We have seen these problems in Facebook for years. You and I have talked about it. Men lie, women lie, Facebook does too. And they're not going to do anything about it. But the biggest concern that I would say, as a consumer and somebody concerned about democracy, is the idea that Facebook is arguing, well, we're not going to fact check anymore, but we're offering community notes. And we have those, you also have those on Twitter and X and everything else like that. Community notes is like an airline telling everybody as a passenger, hey, check the tires and check the wings for us, and then tell everybody else that this plane is safe. It's not supposed to work that way. If you cannot regulate the content in your own company, then you're abdicating the basic responsibility you have to provide content. And that's the most disappointing thing, in addition to him just bending the knee to Trump, which we knew he was going to do.
Che, what do you see in the politics here? Because I showed the record. Zuckerberg previously had different policies. He said he had, frankly, different views. And so had Trump lost, had the vote swung a point and a half the other way, presumably we would be moving past some of this. Is it that simple, or what do you see at work in concert with a long-term effort to really politicize and work the refs here?
Yeah, I think what happened was Mark Zuckerberg saw what happened with Elon Musk. Elon Musk tied himself to Trump, and he became even richer and far more powerful. The problem, I think, for Mark Zuckerberg is he's not getting in on the ground floor. He's getting in on the top floor, and the elevator has only one way direction to go, which is down. But from the MAGA perspective, having Meta in their pocket is extremely important and useful, not just for the next 4 years, but for what comes next. The people who are going to succeed Trump, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump Jr., they're going to need a whole lot of propaganda online, because they don't have personalities that Donald Trump has to sell himself at rallies or on media and interviews. They're going to need a whole lot of support, and Mark Zuckerberg is going to be in an ideal position to provide that.
What do you think, Che, about the change in the normal corporate machinations, which I told viewers we cover, and we're going to try to do this all as clearly as we can, but a lot of it usually happens in back rooms. It's done through lobbyists. It's done through intermediaries. A lot of executives like to have the distance. But Trump has demanded something different, and he seems to be getting it. That entire video could have been interpreted similarly had Zuckerberg just announced the policies. I mean, even having to say out loud, those facts and fact checkers, we're done with that. You don't need to be an expert on current politics to kind of see where that's going. But he went further. He went out of his way to keep name-checking Trump, and they did the Fox News announcement. It almost seems that it needs to be overwrought, overdone, obvious, Che?
Yeah, I kind of think that this is beyond even simple greed, because that's certainly a very good explanation. But what you see here is the innovation that Facebook had was the like button. And if you watch the great movie, The Social Network, one of the things about Facebook that caused Mark Zuckerberg to invent it is he was a guy who wanted people to like him. He was a guy who was basically pushed into lockers by people who looked a lot like Dana White. And, rather than be a rebel and say an outsider or go full science nerd, which is kind of what Bill Gates did, he said, no, I want the guy who's pushing me in the locker to really like me. And he wants Trump and MAGA, the people who once bullied him and looked down on him, to like him. And I think that's what you really see. You see a tremendous need and personal desire by Mark Zuckerberg to have all the people who looked down on him once to like him.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating, Che. And Jason, we were actually discussing that earlier in our preparations in the newsroom today. Human stories often have more than one purpose, right? The greed and the business side is one thing, but Che cites the great Aaron Sorkin movie, which, yes, was fiction, but it was based on a nonfiction book, and it was based on how this went down, Jason. And I wonder about that because Zuckerberg is an important figure, and so we follow these people, and he seems to be looking at especially the online community, which has leaned right in various ways, the quote-unquote bro culture and Musk, and he seems to be doing that thing again, as Che says, but in a way that I'm not sure will be rewarded. I'm not sure. Yes, Dana White now, he's let the fox into the hen house, the guy has real power. He's got his eyes and ears, but I'm not sure these people are going to actually give Zuck the high school validation he covets.
No. Just like the cool kids don't like Vivek. Just like Elon Musk bought Twitter because basically he couldn't get into the club. He couldn't get past the velvet rope. So he said, I'll buy the club. Guess what? People still don't want to drink with you, right? Like there's an element to this of people sort of acting out whatever sort of unrefined or unresolved traumas and issues they had from before they got rich. But the problem is we all have to live in the world that comes from these people who haven't worked out these issues. And I will say this is particularly concerning. Ari, just a week and a half ago, remember, they were announcing with Meta and Instagram that they were going to introduce AI avatars, fake accounts on Instagram. Now imagine having fake accounts on Instagram that can say whatever they want, pretend to be real people that don't have to be fact checked. Yes, they stopped it in a couple of days, but who knows what the future will look like? And having massive disinformation because somebody can't get over the fact that they got pushed in a locker room and couldn't get a date to prom, that's not the kind of America or the world that any of us actually want to live in.
Yeah, and for anyone watching saying, are we hating? I can't speak for you guys, but I was a nerd in high school. So I'm with it. I'm not, anti-nerd. I just think there's more than one way to transcend.